Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Simona Cuccioni and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Texas school children killed in shooting were all in the same classroom. Texas shooting continues state's grim run-off mass shooting. Russia launches fresh offensive and wants sanctions relief to free up Ukraine food supply routes. Toronto sends hydro crew to help Ottawa restore power following the storm. Biden says we have to act after Texas school shooting. Legault fires back at Ottawa after comments on Bill 96 and Bill 21. Where has Doug Ford been during Ottawa emergencies? Trudeau cancels appearance at an event in BC after protesters hurled racial slurs. Peterborough declares state of emergency, more than 150,000 still without power after massive storm.
So those were the headlines. Now let's jump right into the details.
The gunman who massacred 19 children and 2 teachers at a Texas elementary school legally bought 2 AR-style rifle before the attack soon after his 18th birthday and warned on social media minutes before the attack that he had shot his grandmother and was going to shoot up a school, the governor said today. As details of the latest mass killing to the rock the U.S. emerged, grief engulfed the small town of Uvalde, population 16,000. About 30 minutes before the bloodbath, Salvador Ramos made 3 social media posts, Governor Greg Abbott said. According to the governor, Ramos posted that he was going to shoot his grandmother, but then he had shot the woman and finally he was going to shoot up an elementary school. Once again, one of the America's deadliest mass shooting happened in Texas. Past shooting targeted worshippers during a Sunday sermon, shoppers at a Walmart, students on a high school campus, and drivers on a highway. Among the latest victims were 19 children and 2 teachers in a small town of Uvalde, west of San Antonio, where on Tuesday a gunman opened fire inside an elementary school in the nation's deadliest school shooting in nearly a decade. Each of those tragedies in Texas, which resulted in more than 85 dead in all, occurred in last 5 years. But as the horror in Uvalde plunges the U.S. into another debate over gun violence, Texas and the state's Republican-controlled government have by now demonstrated which is likely to happen next: virtually nothing that would restrict gun access. Lawmakers are unlikely to adopt any significant new limits on guns. Last year, gun laws were actually loosened after a gunman at a Walmart in El Paso killed 23 people in a racist 2019 attack that targeted Hispanics. Russian forces launched offensives on town in eastern Ukraine on Wednesday with constant mortar bombardment, destroying several houses and killing civilians as Russia focuses its attack on the industrial Donbas region. Russia has focused on attempting to seize the separatist-claimed Donbas 2 provinces, Donetsk and Luhansk, and trap Ukrainian forces in a pocket on the main eastern front, according to Ukrainian officials. President Volodymyr Zelensky's office said Russian forces launched an offensive on Severodonetsk early on Wednesday, and the town was under constant fire from mortars. More than 24 Toronto Hydro workers have left for Ottawa to help restore power to home and other critical infrastructure following the deadly weekend storm. A significant thunderstorm tore through much of the southern and eastern Ontario on Saturday, leaving 10 people dead and hundreds of thousands without power. In Ottawa, 4 hydro transmission towers were destroyed, resulting in tens of thousands of homes being cut off from electricity. 5 days later, there remains nearly 60,000 customers without power. In a statement, Toronto Hydro said their partner in Ottawa made a formal request for storm assistance and they would be answering the call. As a result, 26 people left for Ottawa this morning. Lamenting a uniquely American tragedy, an anguished and angry President Joe Biden delivered an urgent call for new restriction on firearms after a gunman shot and killed 19 children at a Texas elementary school. Biden spoke Tuesday night from the White House barely an hour after returning from a 5-day trip to Asia that was bracketed by a mass shooting in the U.S. He pleaded for action to address gun violence after years of failure and bitterly blamed firearm manufacturers and their supporters for blocking legislation in Washington. With the First Lady Jill Biden standing by his side in the Roosevelt Room, the president, who had suffered the loss of two of his own children, though not to the gun violence, spoke in the visceral term about the grief of the loved ones of the victim and the pain that will endure for the student who survived. He called on the nation to hold the victim and families in prayer, but also to work harder to prevent the next tragedy. It's time we turn this pain into action, he said. Canada's Justice Minister criticized Quebec's newly adopted language law on Wednesday, while also providing detail on how and when the federal government could get involved in the legal challenge of the province's controversial religious symbols law. His statement appeared to have angered Quebec's premier. David Lametti weighed in on Quebec's new language law, Bill 96, which was adopted into law on Tuesday, and he said he would not rule out Ottawa taking part in legal challenge against it. The sweeping new language law is large in scope. Lametti said he was concerned about the law's potential effect on immigrant access to the justice and healthcare in both French and English, as well as Indigenous rights. Its limit is the use of English in the court and public services and imposes tougher language requirement on small businesses and municipalities. It also caps the number of students who can attend the English language CEGEPs, which are junior schools, and increase the number of the French courses students at the level must take. He also criticized Quebec's preemptive use of the notwithstanding clause, which essentially protects Bill 96 from legal challenges based on the Canadian Charters of Right and Freedom. Quebec also now used the notwithstanding clause for the controversial religious symbol law, also known as Bill 21. With just about a week left until Election Day, Progressive Conservative leader Doug Ford was supposed to make his first and presumably only campaign stop in Ottawa on Thursday. But after a devastating storm ripped through the capital and surrounding areas in eastern Ontario, Ford's Ottawa trip was cancelled. One of his campaign insiders told that the focus should be on letting hydro workers concentrate on reconnecting the 74,000 residents still without the power. But if Ford was concerned about causing a distraction, why did he visit the storm-ravaged town of Uxbridge, located in the riding held by Peter Bethlenfalvy, who served as Ford's finance minister on Monday? And why wasn't Ford too worried about coming to Ottawa on September 21, 2018, 2 days after Ottawa was hit with multiple tornadoes to the tour the damage then? Now it looks like Ford may be coming to Ottawa on Monday, just 3 days before the voters elect their next provincial government. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was forced to cancel plans to attend a fundraising dinner on Tuesday evening after two speakers at the event said protesters hurled racial slurs at the mostly South Asian attendees entering a convention center in Surrey, BC. Trudeau did not enter the building and spoke to a crowd for about 3 minutes by Zoom instead of making a speech in person. He said no one should be intimidated or stopped from exercising their democratic freedom because that's what this country is all about. Trudeau said he would return to see his supporters in Surrey in the future, and an organizer of the event told attendees they should feel free to stay and enjoy dinner. Defense Minister Anita Anand addressed the crowd, but a Liberal Party staffer asked a reporter to leave the room. The party said in a statement to the Canadian press that everyone participating in our democracy should feel safe and respected. The city of Peterborough has declared a local state of emergency 4 days after a massive storm system known as Derecho swept through the province. The town of Uxbridge, east of Toronto, and Clarence Rockland, east of Ottawa, declared state of emergency on Saturday due to the extensive damage caused by the storm. At least 10 people have died as a result of the storm, which generated winds of up to 195 kilometers per hour, reduced some buildings to rubble, uprooted the trees, and downed power lines. The city has also opened up facilities for people to access showers.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Simona Cutoni, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Adios.